morning edition, good financial news from Standard & Poor's. Immigration stands by its no sleeves, no service policy. And who in the morning? Roots. There are 5 days left to go before we drink more spiked eggnog and rum cake. Good morning to all of you. I'm LaDawn Davis, and this is the Morning Edition. Thank you so much for waking up with us. And joining us live here on the Morning Edition to tell us how things are shaping up weather-wise for the holidays is Chief Meteorologist Basil Dean. Good morning, Basil.
Good morning, LaDawn. Well, we woke up to a pretty chilly morning here on Wednesday, and things are shaping up quite nicely. Our tower cam showing near clear skies, and as we go to our satellite picture, we have this front boundary in the central Gulf of Mexico. This is going to be a game changer come Friday. All the details coming up later in the newscast, so do stay tuned. Outside of our studios, we have just a few clouds floating around. Temperatures 61 degrees, relative humidity quite rich at 87%. Calm winds, barometric pressure 1,017.7 millibars. That is 30.05 inches, and it is rising. Temperatures around the islands this morning, 57 degrees in Grand Atoll Key, 56 in Freeport, Grand Bahama, 56 also in Marsh Harbor. Because we take you into the Berry Islands, things start to warm up a bit, 72 degrees, 72 also in Bimini, 72 in Harbor Island. Rock Sound, Eleuthera, 70 degrees, out of Cat Island, 70 as well, and that extends right into Stanley Key in Exuma Chain, Kemp's Bay, St. Andros, and Fresh Creek in Central Andros. Here in the capital, 61 degrees to a low temperature. And then in San Salvador, more 70s showing up, and that goes into San Salvador and Rumkey, Clarencetown, Long Island, Crooked Island, Betsy Bay, Maguana, Acklands, all at 76, Matthewtown, Inagua 75, and the Turks and Caicos Islands at 78 degrees. Your boating forecast for today for all areas, you can expect east to southeast winds, 10 to 15 knots, wave heights 2 to 4 feet. Tide-wise, it's going to be low at 10:59 this morning, your high tide at 4:48 this afternoon. And that's going to do it for your first look at weather, the morning edition. Stay tuned, your forecast for today and tonight is still ahead.
Thanks a lot, Basil. Meanwhile, traffic reporter Sieska Adderley is standing by with traffic cops to tell us what we can expect on our streets this week. Good morning, Sieska.
Good morning. This morning's traffic report, we're coming to you live from Bay Street. It's relatively quiet right now, but that is expected to change as we are just days away from the Christmas holiday. So here to tell us what we need to know if we're traveling about in this area at any point today, beginning with this morning, is Corporal Miko Evans from the Traffic Division. Good morning, Corporal Evans. How are you?
Good morning, Miss Adderley. I'm fine. Good morning, Bahamas.
Now, what do we need to know if we're moving about in this area, especially during the morning and heading into the later hours of the day?
Well, you want to know that the traffic will increase in this area due to the season. You're going to observe in the back that there is a bus stop that is right in this area. So you don't want to follow too close to the back of the bus drivers, and you also want to be aware of all of the pedestrians moving north and south across the road. You want to monitor your speed, and you want to use your mirrors in these instances.
Okay, now, Corporal Evans, patience, I'm sure, is a virtue that we'll have to exercise, right? As you said, there'll be increased traffic, there'll be pedestrians and motorists moving about.
Yes, you definitely want to exercise patience during the season. You're going to see traffic basically everywhere as you commute throughout the entire island. So you may want to keep your hands off the horns. You don't want to row anybody during this time. We want to be nice to everybody as we utilize the streets in the Bahamas.
So road rage is definitely a thing here?
Yeah, definitely a thing.
All right, so Corporal Evans, before we go, were there any incidents overnight that you want the motoring public to be aware of?
Well, last night it was a very quiet night. We just had one hit-and-run accident, but we're noticing an increase on hit-and-run accident because a lot of drivers are driving around without a driver's license, or in some instances, their licenses are expired, and also no insurance or invalid insurances.
So that's a big no-no, right?
A big no-no during this time.
All right, thank you so much. That's Corporal Miko Evans from the Traffic Division telling us what to do and not to do when traveling in this area. But before you even get out on the road, make sure that you have the proper documentation in hand, whether it's your driver's license or your insurance. Back to you in the studio, LaDawn.
Thanks a lot, Sieska. Now on to our top story this morning. Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance, the Honorable Peter Turnquest, is happy to announce that the country is headed in the right direction financially after credit ratings agency Standard & Poor's maintained the country's BB+ stable rating in its initial report. He says the confirmation is another positive one for this country, although the government wants to ultimately see an upgrade. In its assessment, the agency adds that it could lower its rating if public finances fail to improve. However, Standard & Poor's maintains that the Bahamas' stable outlook reflects the agency's expectation that robust political institutions will anchor fiscal consolidation and moderate economic growth over the next 1 to 2 years.
That is a positive development for us. Obviously, we would like to see an upgrade, and so we know that there's still a lot of work to be done. But it is encouraging the positives that they commented on, our progress in terms of fiscal responsibility, keeping our deficit under control, bringing our debt growth down. And so we encourage that we're on the right path. This follows, obviously, the IMF giving us a similar nod of approval in terms of going in the right direction.
Turnquest appealed to the public to be patient with the government as he says it goes through a retooling exercise.
That there's a lot of stresses out there. We know that things are not as moving as fast as people would like. But unfortunately, when you're given the kind of lemons that we inherited, it takes a little while to make the lemonade. But again, we're moving in the right direction, and I think that's important.
Press Secretary Anthony Newbold addressed the controversy over the Department of Immigration's policy turning away customers said to be inappropriately dressed. His comments follow reports from a woman who claimed to be turned away because she wore shorts and others because they wore sleeveless dresses. Newbold says immigration must ensure customers are served, but customers also have a responsibility.
People will have to be facilitated, however that is done. But the Department of Immigration, as the other departments, have an obligation to take care of their customers. Customers also have an obligation to follow reasonable rules, and the Department of Immigration, again, understanding their mandate, will determine the best way for them to be able to do that.
Press Secretary Newbold also commented that Bahamians must do more to take advantage of the jobs that are available. He says while there are often talks of limited employment opportunities, he disagrees.
The Ministry of Finance just recently said they're looking for 50 people. They want accountants, they want auditors. These are jobs, and you can't say these are the jobs that nobody wants, that, you know, the immigrants take, which is one of the arguments that people use. Nah, these are well-paying jobs that if you're qualified, you can get them. Preparation for jobs is anchored, among other things, in having a good education. And we know that the government has made education free at BTVI, UB next September.
A family of 10 is homeless this morning after their home was destroyed by fire yesterday. Officer in charge of operations at Fire Services, Inspector Damaris Umbrister, said the incident unfolded shortly after 1 Tuesday afternoon. He said the fire broke out in an interior room of the 7-room wooden structure.
It appears as if the fire would have started in one of the rear bedrooms. However, at this time, our investigators are on scene and they're presently have their investigation ongoing. It's believed to be 6 adults and 5 children that reside at this residence. However, at this time, more of their possessions will have been totally destroyed.
Education Minister, the Honorable Jeffrey Lloyd, says the mold issues at the C.H. Reeves campus have been addressed. Last month, the Bahamas Union of Teachers filed a strike vote over the mold concerns at that institution with the Department of Labor. Here's Education Minister, the Honorable Jeffrey Lloyd, on the issue.
The report by the public analysts about a month ago indicated that the condition at CH Raves was safe for human habitation for students, teachers, faculty, and the support staff. So we have no concern in that respect. The unions, of course, requested that we do an independent study, which has been conducted, the results of which are being analyzed and provided to my attention and then to the cabinet, and we make the decision. But from the latest information we have, the school is safe for the conduct of school business.
And coming up after the break, who in the morning? Roots. Welcome back to the Morning Edition. The trash talking among Junkanoo groups have intensified as final preparations in the shacks for the big showdown on Bay winds down. The 2017 Boxing Day champions Roots say although they have been down for many years, they plan to continue their winning streak. We visited a few of their shacks recently to find out what they plan to bring down on Bay.
We've been resilient over the years, we remember years when we were really down, and we were able to face a challenge. I mean, despite that we are not the popular group, now we are.
After reclaiming popularity at the 2017 Boxing Day Junkanoo Parade, members of the Roots Junkanoo group say they will bring it and pick up a big win and sweep all of the categories on Boxing Day and New Year's morning. Group leader Wendell Francis says their corporate sponsor Atlantis has given his members the financial backing they need to make it to Bay. Francis says although they are in the final phase of preparations, spectators can expect a showing of magnificent splendor.
We probably 98% complete for both mornings, so because we were in the shack for some time, we do our homework, we're doing preparation for months and months and weeks and days, and hope that the hours will come and we will be able to display our beautiful talent, all the talent being harnessed over the last 4, 5, 6 years in this organization, and expect to continue that, the trend towards building additional persons who willing and able and would like to be a part of this organization.
With the murder count in high double digits, Francis says both themes for the Boxing and New Year's Day Junkanoo parades drive home a very crucial message, despite this and the many social ills we are faced with in this country.
Heaven is real, which is Boxing Day. Angels Playground, all us expect to go there one day. Some of the persons will display in our costume. We hope and pray that already made it there, like the Martin Luther King and the Miles Monroe, and all of these guys back in the Bible, Elijah. And so all of us as humans hope that one day we'll get there. And then our second theme, which is the groundbreak, is religions, world religions, hope for mankind. That's the only thing we can depend on now. All these things happening around the world, especially in the Bahamas where we have all this crime.
Roots will be coming out of the block 6 on Boxing Day and 1st on New Year's, and say whatever number they picked on December 3rd each year does not deter them from putting on a flawless performance. Francis later told us what gave Roots the boost they needed to finish on top at last year's cultural showdown.
More membership than leadership. The members of this organization, despite that they were not winning parades, they actually stuck with this group. Most of them. Some went elsewhere because they probably could not wait. You know what I'm saying? Nothing comes before its time. And so when I give all the praises to our members, hard-working members who are stuck with this group.
Finding the right Christmas gift, or the right gift rather, for Christmas isn't always the easiest task, especially when you're on the hunt for something unique. Going the natural way with products almost good enough to eat with Eudora's Treasures may be just what you're looking for. This morning we have with us Tanya Mitchell to tell us more about Eudora's. Tanya, welcome to the Morning Edition.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Talk to me a little bit about some of the surprises in Eudora's treasure chest for the holidays.
Oh, for the holidays, we have these lovely care packets that you can get. It's a combination of our organic soap. You get an organic lotion, a body mist, and Bahamian sponge as well. We also have some lovely lotions, different variations. They do different things. You can get a herbal essence, or you can get a fragrance of your choice. And we actually also pair these with our soap. So if you wanted to get a hydrating lotion to match your soap, you can do that as well. We also have we're very proud of our Bahamian sponge soap. This one is actually also, we hit you with the sea twice because it also has sea moss inside of it. So you have a Bahamian sponge and you have a sea moss that has some amazing medicinal skin properties. We also have our facial masks. We have some lovely facial bars, and these masks accompany them. They've got things like neem, moringa, hemp, rose petals, hibiscus. So we really turn it up a notch to give you a really lovely experience.
So the Bahamian medicines
yes,
there.
Yes. And then we also have our under eye serum. You know, for those of us that don't really go to bed when we should or get the adequate hours, but it helps with dark circles underneath your eyes, helps with wrinkles and fine lines.
So what makes Eudora's Treasures so unique?
Oh my gosh, besides the fact that we completely love what we do, we source the best. We try to implore as much local products as we can, whatever we can source locally. But we really love what we do. We are ever expanding, and we're always developing new things, and we're listening to the public. You know, one of our lotions, they help with sinus congestion, minor aches and pains. So that's what makes us unique. We are custom made. We can custom design our packages to tailor your budget. We're just so happy and so pleased with what we're doing. It's really a fun experience. We're so glad that we get to share it with everybody.
How long have you guys been in business?
Well, we have been, the treasures aspect is new. I'm actually a pastry chef. So this has come on board this year. May is when we really went full force. But we've always been developing, and personal research, that's been ongoing for a number of years, but recently new development.
Now, Tanya, I know BAIC has also been instrumental in the development of Eudora's Treasures. Talk to me a little bit about that.
BAIC, they have, oh my gosh, besides letting us know whenever we have an available venue or turning us on to new customers, helping us with promotions. Not only do they get you a vendor booth, but they'll also tell you how to set it up, make sure you're adequately prepared. They're always encouraging you. They're always grooming you. You can reach out to them with any questions. They've been very instrumental.
And Tanya, just before we go, how important is it for Bahamians to actually support artisans like yourself?
Oh, it's very important. We Bahamians, we produce some really good quality, and I don't know why we have the mentality that we need to go abroad to get Star One equipment and products. We are so adequately equipped with the persons to produce these things. So supporting Bahamians, I mean, it really just makes sense. Why go away when you can get it locally?
Tanya.
And when you can also empower young Bahamians.
Tanya, thank you so much for joining us here on the Morning Edition, and best of luck to you for the holidays.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks for having us.
So, Jonathan, what's coming up in sports?
Well, Ladon, there's some controversy at the Giorgio Baldacci Tennis Nationals. We'll tell you what's going on.
That story and more ahead in sports.
Welcome to sports, everybody. Some controversy surrounding the Giorgio Baldacci Nationals going on at the National Tennis Center. After pool play ended yesterday, the main draws were announced, and according to sources, they are not sitting well with players both on the men's and ladies' side. The seedings for the main draw are apparently based on how players finish up in their pool, and rankings have no impact beyond your seeding for the pools. What this means on the men's side is that a Davis Cup stalwart, who is the only player with an ATP ranking, is unseeded and has to play in the first round, while others ranked below him have a bye into the second round. The top half of the men's bracket also features most of the country's prominent players, with the top two players from this year's Davis Cup team actually in the same quarter. On the ladies' side, the country's top two players are also in the same half, as one was unseeded coming out of pool play. Social media was blowing up last night. One conversation coming out of a Davis Fed Cup group actually insinuated that if the draws remain as they are, one board member plans to resign their seat. Accusations also being made in regard to the tournament organizers giving more favorable draws to junior players who are actually family members. One post reads, "Fed Davis Cup teams looking sweet this year, boy.
which some are taking to mean that these players believe they already have spots on the team locked up.
Now we understand some players are planning to boycott the rest of the tournament. ZNS Sports will continue to cover this story as play is expected to resume at 9 a.m. The Toledo Rockets getting in their first practice yesterday ahead of the Makers Wanted Bahamas Bowl on Friday at the Thomas A. Robinson National Stadium. The Rockets spent about an hour and a half going through drills at the Roscoe Davies pitch. They will practice again today at the rugby fields outside the National Stadium. From there, they will join up with their opponents, the FIU Panthers, to visit the Ranfurly home and put on a youth football clinic.
We're looking at doing attracting athletes from age 7 all the way up to 18. So we're looking for that next, let's say a Lawrence Taylor or an OBJ or something along those lines there. But before we even go there, it's just an opportunity for some of the kids, like you would have said, to get scholarships, you know, reaching out and kind of getting out of, you know, and into U.S. University free of charge. So that's what it's all about.
The Bull Ridge Class C Regatta right around the corner. It's set for December 29th through January 1st in Georgetown, Exuma. The Reverend Dr. Philip McPhee and his Thunderbird will be in the mix.
I think it's one of the premier C-Class regattas in the Bahamas with great competition, especially against Buzzy, who sponsors this regatta along with his committee. We'll be having about at least 12 boats. And it's going to be a very exciting time to come out of Junkanoo and to get into Junkanoo. So it's going to be very exciting to see these boats go back just after the best of the best. And some of them need redemption. So this is really redemption time for most of us.
Walk It Off 2019 is set for Saturday, January 5th, starting 6 a.m. at the R.M. Bailey Park. The initiative put on by the Anu Association is a fun walk which will assist the Bahamas Diabetic Association.
After Thanksgiving, after Christmas, after the New Year's celebration and party, it's time to walk it off. And you all know just what we're talking about. And so that we can really help our people with a vision of healthy living for the future. And so this is the reason why we're here, and we hope that the public can support this. Diabetes knows no social class. You can be poor, middle class, or rich. It knows no religious boundaries, no political boundaries. This is about helping our people live a better life.
It takes about $100,000 to fully run this organization, and we're not nearly near there. And so when I heard from Mr. Stubbs, I was particularly pleased to know that somebody other than some good corporate sponsors that we have out there wanted to jump on board and assist us.
And that will do it for sports in the morning edition. Stay tuned. A final check on weather is still to come.
In our final look at whether that area of high pressure across the Bahamas will begin to slide towards the east, and that will pave the way for this front boundary which is approaching the central Gulf of Mexico. This is going to move into the northwest Bahamas on Friday. It's going to be a game changer. We expect very, very strong winds gusting up to 35, maybe even 40 miles per hour as that system pushes through on Friday. And then by Friday night early, the front itself will go through, and we'll see a nice cool down taking place on Saturday and Sunday. Today, we're looking at mostly sunny and warm conditions, a high temperature reaching about 80 degrees. And tonight, it's going to be patchy clouds and still somewhat cool initially, but by late night, early morning, clouds will start developing with some showers as well, and that will take us into the early part of Thursday morning. And your 7-day forecast looking like this. A few showers during the morning on Thursday, showers developing again Friday morning with very, very windy conditions on Friday. Frontal system goes through and the cool down takes place. We will see temperatures during the daytime in the mid-70s on Saturday and Sunday as well. LaDawn?
That's it for the morning edition. Thank you so much for waking up with us. Please make sure to join us at 6 o'clock for our 2-hour newscast. I'm LaDawn Davis. Happy holidays, everyone.